Well, unlike the movie community, no one can ever say that the gaming community can keep a secret. Because, yeah, welcome to all you new Last of Us folks who have just had your heart ripped from your soul. Grab your whiskey. Let's talk about it. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. Episode 2 of season 2 of Last of Us is here. It is called Through the Valley, and this is the one that us gamers, we've been holding our tongue for quite some time about this one. This is the one that, as we were playing the game, we decided that it is probably best that we continue the rest of the game with a nice bottle of whiskey next to us because they don't care about our feelings. And welcome to all of you. This is a safe space. You need a hug. Sending you a virtual hug now because we have all seen what happens at the end of this episode. Something that we have been knowing for quite some time. I hope that for the folks who are just watching the TV show and not playing the game, that this wasn't spoiled for you and you were able to come to this organically, so that you can have your heart ripped out the same way that all of us did who were playing the game. This is a rough one, and it is amazingly done. I did not think that they could recreate the feeling that I felt when I first stumbled upon Joel's passing and demise and the way that it occurs and everything, but they recreate it here um, pretty pitch perfectly. And thus, I became as invested, as angry, and as engaged as if, like, oh my god, maybe they're gonna kill Joel. He's gonna die. And that's exactly what takes place. And the road to get there is quite a treat. Kaitlyn Deaver, as I have said before in the last episode, um, is a delight. I love her from Justified. I love her from I'm forgetting. I think it's Unbreakable is the Netflix series that she's on. She's a phenomenal actress. And there was a moment for a while where a lot of people had her sort of as being the person that's going to be Ellie, but she, um, while she may not have some of the physicality that I think most folks had towards Abby, she definitely holds the rage and anger and animosity that one would hold toward losing a loved one and, like, I'm going to take this out on this guy. I've been holding this in for 5 years. I'm going to unleash this on this man. And you get all of that bottled up in here. This is, for better or worse, this is her episode. Um, and she nails it. At the very beginning of this episode, we have a present day Abby sort of having a flashback of playing. And this is something that happens in the game a lot, where we play through that scene in the corridors, going down the hallway, of seeing um, Joel recreate the moment where he shoots everybody. He kills everybody. And he kills what we found out is 18 soldiers and one unarmed doctor. And that one unarmed doctor, we find out, is Abby's dad. And so she's recreating that moment. It's like, don't go in that room. You don't want to go in that room, because visually she's reminded of that room is where she finds her dad with his brains blown out. We then come to present day, where Owen and the rest of Abby's team, Nora, Maddie, I think there's one more, um, they stumble upon the city and they see how well that city is set up. Like, there's like, we can't approach that city the way that I'm thinking we can. Like, there's no way in. They're guarded by 4 gates. They do patrols. Like, I don't think we're going to be able to get into them and get to Joel the way that we thought we were going to be able to. So we may have to come up with another idea. And Owen kind of is like, I got an idea. Let me ruminate on it a little bit, but I think I might have the idea. But he doesn't. His idea is basically like, I want to take Abby out of this. Like, let's give up on this thought, this idea of getting to Joel. Like, maybe this isn't the way that we need to go. Let's just leave this thought alone. But Abby is like a dog on a bone. She's like, nope, this is where my head is. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to kill this man. The next day, Jesse comes to collect Ellie for her patrol. He's a bit early because he likes to be on time. He lets her know that Dina and Joel have already gone out. And he lets her know that because she's like, well, I'll just go with Joel. And he's like, well, they've already gone out. They wanted to leave you asleep. And Joel said, like, it's best to leave you asleep. He didn't want to interrupt your sleeping habits. It's like, she needs that. And Jesse's like, well, I didn't think you and Joel were even cool. And Ellie's saying, like, look, no matter what happens between Joel and I, like, whatever issues we may have, we will come out the better of it. Like, we will always be good on the other side of it. There's never going to be a point where there is not hashtag Joel and Ellie forever. We will always be okay, which hits even harder once you see how this episode sort of concludes. But Dina and Joel have already gone out on patrol. So then we see a moment where Tommy's talking to the community. Everybody in the city, Tommy's sort of letting know, like, hey, if we are attacked, here are the steps that we need to go through to make this better. In this moment, we also see that in the city, Ellie gets a half-assed apology from the man that said some very crude comments about the sexual orientation of Ellie and Dina. He gives them some steak sandwiches to go out on their patrol. And it's the best that it's all that he can have to offer. It's a moment where, like, these people have to see each other day to day. And so Tommy and Maria have sort of come up with, like, hey, you need to apologize. We can't live in this society with people having this sort of animosity towards each other. And I think there's some genuine, like, I am sorry, but I'm more sorry that, like, I said this out in front of people instead of just keeping this inside of my head. And so Ellie doesn't really forgive him. She's like, all right, cool, we'll take the sandwiches, then we're just gonna dip off. We see Abby on a watch. She sees two folks that are kind of on patrol nearby, and she thinks one of them might maybe Joel. She can't quite see from where she's at, but she's like, all right, I'm gonna still kind of stay in with it. And her energy is boiling anyway. She's like, if it is Joel, I want to make sure that I absolutely get to this man and find a way to kill him. But there's a massive snowstorm happening, so she can't quite get a good look at who it is. But she knows she needs to get to him. Tommy back in the city is kind of like, well, look, I can't get any clear lines of communications out. Like, everybody's stuff is coming back muffled. I can't find out where Joel and Dina are. I'm barely getting any communication to Jesse and Ellie. Like, call all patrol back. Anybody who's out there on patrol, bring them back in. We need to bring them back in because I don't know what's happening out there right now. Jesse and Ellie can't make it back. They do find solace in a convenience store / 7-Eleven. And so they put the horses in the garage, like the gas station garage, and they go to the 7-Eleven, which is like a weed shop. That Eugene, who was somebody that was Catherine O'Hara's husband, but also the person that Joel apparently killed. He's the one who found this weed shop. Abby, in the middle of the snowstorm, is risking all types of hypothermia and death amongst all of this to get her hands upon Joel. And so she goes sliding down this embankment, and she's tumbling down and moving down, and she winds up on this landing where there's nothing but dead bodies. We just see bodies, arms, and ligaments, and all that good stuff. But then they come to find out that these folks aren't truly dead. And so they start rising up and chasing after Abby. So Abby is just making a mad dash. And it's a pretty harrowing moment. We see Abby running, sprinting, trying to get to some type of safety. She gets to a point where she gets to this one place. She climbs up a ladder, gets in, and then she tries to get through this little sort of secret passageway on the side. There's a gate where all of these infected start leaning up upon this gate. She's trying to make her way through. She's trying to make it through. Eventually, she gets to a point where she is actually dead to rights. She is dead to rights with an infected on top of her. And Joel shoots the infected in the head, kills it, and saves her. In retrospect, that seems like a terrible idea. But at the time, Joel is being the good man that he always is, and he saves Abby. And he gives her hand. He's like, let's go, let's get out of here. So they take solace inside the building. They come to a moment where, like, look, we don't have much time here. We got to get up out of here. I need to make it back to my city. There's people there, but I don't know if we can make it back there. And she's like, look, I'm close enough to my lodge. If we just go north, I think we can make it there. I have guns and weapons there. We can make it there. So Joel, Dina, and Abby decide to head that way to sort of beat the storm, but also beat all these infected that are right on their tail. Jesse and Ellie get word that Dina and Joel have not checked in, and so they immediately run out. So, like, we got to go find them. And so they get on their horses and they split. Jesse goes one way, Ellie goes another, which is northeast towards basically towards the lodge. Joel and Dina make their way to the lodge with tons of infected on their heels. And then we sort of see a sequence also while that's happening of the town being attacked. The town where Tommy and all those folks are, it's being attacked. They're under siege. Infectors coming out of every which way. We have clickers coming through, busting through the gates. It is the town is basically under attack. They put all the people who can't fight in bunkers and whatnot. Anybody who can manage a weapon is put in different situations to sort of protect the city and the town. And they're firing every which way. They have flamethrowers. They're doing whatever they can to sort of protect this town. Um, and because of that, they're starting to set up like barrels where they shoot out to sort of keep some of the infected at bay, and then they shoot at these barrels to sort of create a fire ring around the town to help sort of keep the infected at bay. This also sort of signals to anybody else that's looking from afar, like, oh crap, the town's under fire. So as Joel and Dina and Abby get to a certain point, Joel looks back like, oh crap, I think we need to head back to the city because they're clearly under attack and we need to go help them immediately. And Abby's like, hold on, let's wait. My people have guns and weapons. You can use my people to go help your people to get them out of this jam. And Joe's like, all right, that makes some sense. So Abby's doing everything she can to sort of keep the idea that we head up here, because if we go that way, I'm eventually going to lose my leverage that I have. I had you right now exactly where I need you. Let's get you right over this precipice so I can get you to finish off the deed that I've been trying to do for the last 5 years. Back at the town, after much back and forth, Tommy they end up getting the best of a lot of these infected, but not without them breaking through. Tommy gets the best of a clicker, and then some of these dogs start making their way in and sort of biting the way of the infected. Which I I have clarity. I can't quite remember, but I don't think the dogs get infected or have the ability to get infected. I think this fungus only affects humans, so that's why the dogs are able to sort of do what they can. I'm not sure on that. If even if they're not, we're gonna have to kill these dogs now because they've done what they're supposed to do. They filled out their duty and now they have to die. Um, Back with Abby though, Abby gets Joel into the lodge. They start shaking their stuff off. He's like, and Abby's talking to Owen. He's kind of like getting her warm because she's been freezing out, some form of hypothermia. But then Owen's just like, keep them warm too. And then Abby lets them know that his name is Joel, and the whole team sort of like, oh, we just happen to get Joel in our midst. What do we do now? And Abby quickly lets it known that, like, all right, cool. Here's what we're gonna do with Dina, because our thing is never to harm anyone that is not our main focus. She's been with the militia for 5 years. She's been training. She's like their code, the decree is to not harm people that are not the people that are directly affected, that they are not directly going after. And so they put Dina to sleep. They're like, look, we're going to put her to sleep. So they put a needle in her arm and send her to sleep. And then Abby lets on to Joel what he has done and who she is. She's like, yes, I used to be a Firefly. I'm not anymore. You may not have heard. Fireflies don't exist the way that they used to because some stuff happened. And she explains about the 18 military folks and the one unarmed doctor that you killed, who you may have guessed is my dad. And so she gives Joel a chance to sort of tell the truth. If he does, he's going to keep Dina alive. And so he does at that moment. He's like, yes, the last time I saw the Fireflies alive was in Utah, which was at the point where all of this sort of took place. She then puts a shotgun shell in his leg, um, and then asked for that leg to be tourniqueted because her goal is to stretch this out. She wants to keep him alive and have him being sort of punished and in pain for which he has done to her. She lets him know that, like, look, in my code of militia, I don't kill people that can't defend themselves, but in this case, I'm going to make an exception. I'm going to kill you. At that point, because she's sort of pontificating and going on and on, and for a point, she goes to reach for some golf clubs, and it's at that point that Joel just says, "Just shut the fuck up. Let's just end this and do it already." At which point, she responds like, "No, no, you don't get to take this from me. You don't get to tell me how long or how quick this has to be." stupid old man, I'm going to take my time. You don't get to rush this. And then she continues to go to town on him with a golf club. Now, I will say it is not as brutal as the game because I feel like maybe I'm just remembering this, but I feel like the game this really gives you more shots of what she does to him. Um, Whereas this, we sort of get to see the visuals of what the aftermath of it looks like. And so Ellie arrives at the lodge. She sees that Dina and Joel's horses are there, and so she quickly goes in. She's starting to hear that Joel or someone is being attacked. She starts to realize that that's Joel's voice. She opens up a door, um, and sees that Joel was like in a bloody pulp. Basically, he's dead to rights at this point. Um, and she goes to quickly to pull out her gun and she goes to shoot one of the men, pull up her gun, and he gets slashed in the hand. I can't remember the gentleman's name. Um, but then the rest of them sort of pull him off because he wants to kill Ellie. They're like, that's not our goal. That's not what we're doing. Owen, Nora, Maddie also to subdue Ellie. And she watches as Abby puts the kill shot into Joel's neck and kills him. And yes, Joel is dead directly in front of Ellie, in which Ellie then responds, um, "I'm going to kill you, every single one of you. I'm going to kill you." Um, I think she says, you're all going to fucking die." Um, and then they just calmly leave the lodge as if nothing has just occurred. They're leaving Dina there. They're leaving Ellie there, which, as you'll see, as this all goes along for each of them, the worst thing that they could have done um, is to leave a dangling partnership. It's the same way revenge. What we learn in this entire show, this show, the game, is that vengeance has a price on the soul, and people are going to go to whatever lengths they can to sort of get their vengeance, to get their pound of flesh. And so you're going to see to what lengths Ellie be damned of what makes sense or how she should play this to spend her life with the goal of getting revenge is kind of going to be what Abby has done for the last 5 years. But now we're going to see it through Ellie doing it in sort of kind of quote unquote real time. And so um, they all leave, and then we see Ellie crawl over to Joel's body, pull out the sort of death blow out of his neck, and just kind of hug his hand and hold on to him while we hear a musical overture of Through the Valley play by the original, that the voice actress of Ellie, as we sort of see the culmination of what happens as Abby and her team leave the scene. We see Jesse sort of ride in on a horse to the moment. You can see sort of, I won't say a moment of relief, but like, hey, I've gotten the thing that I've been trying to do for the last 5 years. I've gotten it done. But it doesn't really give her any solace. She's not happier for it. She doesn't feel any sort of relief for it. She's just like, I did what I was supposed to do, and now I'm going to move on. What that does for her the rest of her life, who knows? I mean, I know, but I'm not telling you because gamers are good at keeping secrets. But it seems like in this moment, there's no high or low to what she's just done. She just feels nothing. So then the final shot is of Tommy and then the townsfolk back in the main town, sort of cleaning up the debris and cleaning up any remaining infected or people who may have just been turned. As we see Jesse bring Dina back on one horse, Ellie back on his, and then dragging the body of Joel behind them as the episode ends. Uh, Pardon me. Yeah, great episode of television. Great episode of gaming, if you will, too. They nail the recreation of that sequence. Nail it 100%. I think Kaitlyn Dever knocks the character of Abby out of the park. Well, I don't think she quite embodies the physicality that Abby has. I don't necessarily know if that is. Abby was not just the physicality of it. A lot of it was the emotional Wait, and there's a sequence that she has where she's talking directly to Joel that you believe everything she's saying. And in that moment, Joel's kind of like, I did do that. And I did it for selfish reasons for myself to get my kid out of the way and get her help, save her. I did not think that that would have an effect on anyone else. But that's the episode in a whole, folks. You're in for a ride. We're going to see a lot of whether or not what path Ellie goes down, whether or not she chooses to sort of just accept the fate that has occurred to Joel, or if she becomes a lot like Abby and does almost like a 1-to-1 of spending her life giving everything that she has towards getting some type of revenge and what that does to a person. Can your body, what is your life, what is your mind sustain in creating a path of just being angry and hateful and angry and revengeful about everything? And what does that do for the ones that love you? I can tell you that the bottle of whiskey that I kept by my side while playing the game of this is probably going to be pertinent and important for anybody who's watching this series. What did you guys think about the second episode of Last of Us called Through the Valley? Go to leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on X at Hollywood80i or hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt at gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.